Hey guys, welcome to the South of French. I'm currently on the Côte d'Azur, meeting my family for Christmas. Just went back to France 2 days ago. Well, everything's been fine, but I had time to squeeze in a session or two for you before. So this is part one. I hope you will enjoy it. It was a really crazy session, honestly. I, of course, advise you to stay till the end and to watch part two that will be released next week. So well, on to the next one, and I'm gonna enjoy the sun and the 15 degrees Celsius of Saint Raphael in the south of France. See you guys. Bye. Back on that playground 2-5, as always, no 5-10 in sight, unfortunately. I buy in for 2500, but the max buy-in is 1000, so that's what I put on the table, and I'm ready to fight. I recognize a few faces, and the table looks juicy already. Some people are very loud, and that's always a good sign. First hand in, I pick up 5s in the big blind, and have to fold versus a 3-bet, but no time to waste. I get kings a few minutes later in the hijack. The big blind and the straddle are regular players, so not gonna size up too much. I just raise to 30 bucks. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to size up for the next hands, as 4 players end up making the call. 5 ways to a pretty safe one, 8-6-3 rainbow. Nothing to be scared of. I'm ready to c-bet, but the big blind ends up leading for 50. I don't think he always has set here. He could do that with 9s, 10s, maybe ace-8 or something, but he definitely has no bluffs here. Even if the sizing is small, I decide to call and reassess the situation on the turn. Turn is a complete brick, and he decides to bet 95. Well, if he had a set, I for sure believe he would want to play for stacks, as we're pretty deep. At least he should. So I think I can get some value from his weaker pairs now. I decided to raise small to 275 to put his whole range in a tough spot, even if I'm quite face up here. After 20 seconds of taking, he ends up shoving. Well, that's one of the reasons I raised 2. I think he's only gonna fast play if he has a set. So I have an easy fold, and I don't have to be in a tough spot on the river if I call any 3-barrel. Nice answer. The gods of the sets were with you on that one, I think. I rebuy 400 to be back at the table max. We don't keep our head down. 3 minutes later, the straddle is on to my left. A very active player limps, and a good reg raises to 60 from the button. Good news, we wake up with queens in the big blind. Pretty good spot to 3-bet. He's supposed to have a wide range here, as the limper is a recreational player, so he might think I'm gonna 3-bet him quite wide too, which I might, to be honest. Anyway, I 3-bet to 250, everybody else folds, and after 45 seconds, he decides to jam. We're pretty happy about it, as he's not gonna only have aces or kings here. He's even gonna have some bluffs, I think. So I make the snap call, and we're off to a run out. The board comes king guy, which is he shows pocket 10s. We're in a very good shape. We just need to fade the last 2 10s, and we do. Wait to rebound after that first pot. Let's go. A round later, similar spot, the button opens to 30, everybody between us calls, and I squeeze once more with queens. Unfortunately, that time everybody folds, and the momentum is back on our side. The action is pretty good, everybody's talking stocks and business. I'm trying to get everybody in the mood to gamble. 2 gentlemen on my left are pretty active. It's unfortunate I don't have the position. Someone I don't know opens to 15 from the cutoff, and I wake up with queen jack off in the small blind. I decide to 3-bet, as I showed many good ends in my first 30 minutes of playing. Time to give some money back. One of the 2 guys I just told you about cold calls from the big blind and the open raiser 2. I should have definitely 3-bet bigger, I think, but the cutoff wasn't that deep, so I kind of been like, but whatever. We get a pretty mid-flop ace king queen with 2 hearts. I've got showdown value, not a big interest to bet, as my 2 opponents could have many suited aces. If I bet, the only hands that are gonna fold are gonna be small pairs or suited connectors that are not gonna bluff 3-way, in my opinion. Everybody checks, and we see a deuce of diamonds introducing a second flush draw. Same idea, I'm just happy to get closer to showdown for the smallest amount possible, so I check, and the big blind bets 50. The cutoff calls, and despite getting a good price with the 2 flush draws, I have pretty bad implied odds and reverse implied odds, so I just give up that end and wait for my next spot. I order something to eat and get 8-6 of clubs as the plate arrives, so I just check it back from the big blind against 2 limps from weaker players. Definitely would have preferred the raise, but I was in a bit of a rush. Anyway, I couldn't ask for a better flop, top pair and a nut flush draw on a 7-4 with 2 clubs. Now I really hate that waitress for pretty bad timing. I decide to check, happy to let them bet or hit something worthy of a call on the turn, and the cutoff bet's 10. No way I see a turn for that cheap. I have too much equity, so I bump it up to 40. I think it's gonna be natural for him to bet bigger with his best aces too, and he's not gonna limp with the bigger ones anyway, so he's gonna have some second pairs, some draws, and I've got outs even if he has a hand like ace-8 or something. The turn is a 4, bringing in a second flush draw, and I think I'm not gonna be able to get called 2 streets by worse here, so I decide to check to let him bluff with some of his weak draws. I check and it checks back in 2 seconds, comforting me in the fact that he has a pretty weak holding. The river is a 10 of hearts, and I always have the best hand here, unless he has a straight draw on the flop that backdoor hearts. Maybe I'll split sometimes too against a small ace. Anyway, why not bet to make him fold a split? But I think there's more value in letting him bluff with the bunch of misdraws he has. I don't really know if he's aggressive or not, but I decided to try and give him a chance to be a legend. But he ended up checking back quickly and showing 7-8 for third pair. Not sure he was calling a bet there. Still a complicated decision between betting and checking in my shoes. Still eating, and I open a beautiful ace-4 clubs to 40 from the hijack over 2 limps. Our very active friends called on our left, and the first limper to 3-way to a decent flop of 10-3 deuce with 2 diamonds. A gut shot is a pretty decent holding, so why not bet it? I make it 80 to target any other cards and better SIs that are gonna fold right away. I have equity and I can super roll on any Broadway turn because they're gonna have too many pocket pairs under the 10 that are gonna fold very often. What wasn't in my plan is that my 2 opponents ended up calling. I think I need to stop bluffing on that table, but I just can't help myself. The turn is close, but not on target. 6. I don't think I have enough fold equity against pocket pairs and 10x now, so I'm just gonna check and try to realize my equity. Unfortunately, the guy on my left bets a gigantic amount of green chips, and the dude on my right pushes everything in. Well, bye-bye. I fold, and the river is a king of diamonds. The guy on my right won with 7-8 of diamonds, and someone sounds pretty tilted about losing that end. Well, I decided to not bluff anymore, but I see too much dead money, and I decide to 3-bet against a raise to 15 and a call with ace-9 of spades. Fortunately, I get 4-bet quickly to almost 200, and I hate myself. Back to basics, I open to 35 and get 1 color in position. I see bet on a queen eye flop, but I swear it's not a bluff. I knew I was gonna make top pair on the turn. I bet a second time and he folds. Unfortunately, not a big interest in checking on the turn as no one showed an extreme propensity to bluff here. The hands keep coming and all look the same. 2 limpers and I raise to 75 with king queen of clubs from the straddle. UTG calls and we go heads up to a flop of ace king 7 with 2 diamonds. I check and he bets 90 around half pot. While I have a decent hand, he can have some bluffs, maybe pretty clean outs and implied odds, and we're 2k deep, so I call one time. Turn is a 6, opening a second flush draw, and we both check quickly. River is the jack of spades, and I'm not making an ace fold here. I beat some hands, so I just check and get absolutely owned by ace-8 offsuit. Well, praying the poker god to give me a top pair so I can get those 2k in front of him now, but the session is still very long. The hand from that session, tulips and a lady I absolutely love that calls herself Big Salami, raises to 20. A reg that just sat down, 3-bets her to 60, and I can't let him steal in her purse. I have to punish him, and I 4-bet jacks to 150. He ends up folding, but I just wanted to show you how much of a gentleman I am, keeping women safe on the table. The very active gentleman in seat 9 unfortunately gets tagged, so the guy on my left takes his seat, and I take his to get a better angle for you guys. One more good action today, and I might turn into the Dalai Lama or something. Guy on my right limps before his turn, so I isolate him to 35 with a6, but one more guy ends up limping before him. Anyway, I try to change my raise sizing, but the dealer doesn't want me to, as he's not a subscriber, unfortunately. Anyway, once more, we go 4-way to a flop, and we make top pair on ace-8 deuce with 2 hearts. Everybody checks, and I have a pretty decent hand to check in my opinion. I'm not gonna have 3 barrels of values, even against these psychos, and seat 5, who is gonna be one of the protagonists of the vlog, looks pretty active, so I don't know, some great things could happen. They're probably gonna call me lighter on futures 3-2. Turn is a 4, and everybody checks. No more fooling around, I value bet 50, and my 2 best friends friends for the night call. The river is a board pairing 4 and I'm ready to bet small for value once again, but my opponent decides he has had enough of me and leads for a 150. I don't really understand what kind of hands he could be doing that with. I guess a 4, but he doesn't have that many, and tough to see him bluff like that 3-way, but what do I know? Maybe a small ace panicking. Tough decision. I ended up playing it safe and folding. I was staring at my opponent on the left too, and he didn't look ready to fold, so that quite helped my decision because he could still have a hand like S9 or something and call behind and crush me. And what the hell do I know? He shows pocket 3s for a stone cold bluff, and the guy on my left called pre-flop and slow played the good old 5-3 offsuit for a straight on the turn. Guys, don't go anywhere. We're gonna play some massive ones with these two, and I didn't have that much fun in a poker session for a while. I raised to 25 with king jack of diamonds in early position, and as for 80% of the hands for the rest of the night, it's gonna be a 3-way action with my new two best friends. The board comes ace 10 deuce, pretty decent. I have a gut shot and they have pretty wide ranges, but I said I'm not bluffing anymore. Psych, I bet 35 and they both call. My plan is to 3-barrel to make them fold their trashes on the flop, 10s and pocket pairs on the turn, and small aces on the river. As I block the best ones, they're gonna raise their 2 pairs before arriving to the river, I think. Turn is a brick 5, and well, not gonna stop now that I stepped into it. Time to be a man and stop bluffing after that one. I bet 130 to put their 10s and pocket pairs in a tough spot. Only sit 5 ends up making the call. Praying for queen on the river to make my decision easier, but I get a bittersweet king instead. After shouting, he fakes a few times taking chips to bets, stares at me, looks like he wants to kill me, and finally decides to check. Well, all that stuff looks extremely weak to me. I feel like he's gonna fold a lot if I bet big, and I feel like he's pretty capped to a small ace now. So I fire 360 into the middle, and to my surprise, he folds pretty quickly, showing me pocket 4s. Damn, he really didn't want to believe me here on the turn. Gonna have to make him pay bigger amounts from now on flops and turns if you like seeing rivers that much. That session is far from over, guys. Brace yourself. Many big pots left breakdown for you. I take a small one with ace 4 spades against my friend with a flopsy bet on queen 3 deuce, and I finally pick up a premium as I get jacks in the cutoff. An open to 15 and a call, and I'm not shy. I 3-bet to 17 position, and a guy that arrived not too long ago makes the call. He only has 400 total, so I assume he's often going to be a recreational player. Heads up to ace 8 for rainbow, and I decide to c-bet more. Many advantages. I'm gonna get value from lower pairs. He's never going to raise me as a bluff, and I keep control of the pot. If he calls, I'm gonna be cautious on the turn and river against aggression, but I think it's gonna be straightforward to play. But either way, he folds quickly. Once again, I raise to 25 from middle position, and once again we go heads up with my soon-to-be best man. The board comes jack 9-8 and he folds to my second barrel, unfortunately. Hey, hear me out, guys. As I have a ton of hands cover, I'll be releasing part 2 of that vlog next Sunday at 5 PM Eastern. Be sure to like and subscribe to check it out, as I'm gonna cover many 2K plus spots with my two best bros from sit 9 and sit 5. I get in a crazy all-in spot pre-flop 3-way in almost a 3K pot into 5, and you don't want to miss the showdown. Be sure to follow our Instagram too. We post stories whenever we post a video and extra hands for you to see. Anyway, see you next week. Thanks for staying till the end. Good luck at the table.